Hey, I'm Santiago.
I'm Jared.
I'm Jacob.
And we are the Three-Legged Dukes.
I just need everyone to kind of approximate the volume that they usually play at. I'm Santiago. Started out playing the drums, and I'm the drummer, but I also am the sound guy, essentially, recording engineer, and the guy who mixes all the music now that we've been doing it all ourselves.
I'm Jared Scott. I do vocals and sometimes guitar. And then I also do the video editing and social media and graphics and art.
I'm Jacob. I play guitar. I'm the guitar man. I make the riffs and help with songwriting.
And we all make our own shirts too.
Oh yeah.
Which we started recently.
That's a combined effort.
We've made at least 3 so far. So we started this band back in 2016, I want to say. Mm-hmm. It just kind of started off instrumental at first. Like I remember you and John, the bass player, you guys were jamming by yourselves. And then I was like, do you guys need a drummer?
Oh yeah.
And then that first day that they came over, we were jamming in my garage, and we barely got like 10 or 15 minutes in before there was like a knock on the garage, and the fucking HOA, some guy who thought he was hot shit and would drive around the block.
Ron.
Yeah, he would drive around the community all day with a little chihuahua on his lap. Just
He
fucking
tried to shut
start
us
trouble.
down.
Yeah, he shut us down. He did shut us down. Said, hey, you can't be doing that, all right? I'm gonna call the police. And we're like, oh, okay, sorry.
Once I got out of high school, I felt kind of lost and wanting to do more. And I just bumped into Jacob at a park and found that they had started some sort of band. And so they were looking for a vocalist, not a guitarist. And I went, well, I sing in the car. And that was kind of it, I just goof around on my own, nothing special. Being kind of a shy kid, it was a lot. Yeah, I never meant to be a vocalist, but it just kind of happened that way. I think the band that we all kind of gravitated over early on was Caius. That was a huge one. You guys introduced me into Caius.
Definitely that, but even before that was Tool.
As far as how our influences have changed, I think we've all gotten our own music taste. Whereas before we were all kind of like an echo chamber of like, oh, listen to this band, and we would all pass it back and forth.
Yeah.
Before Three-Legged Dukes, when we were still under, I think that most of our sounds were a little bit darker, like just the fact that we were trying to make heavier music. But since we've become the Three-Legged Dukes, we just want to do what feels right. And it's really more about that. Like if we feel happy that day, the lyrics are gonna be happy, or like if we feel sad that day, or if we have something to say, there's really no agenda.
Bullshit Rodeo and Ants were probably about a year ago. That was kind of in our transitional period as we were figuring out what we liked to write about. We just ended up writing what we liked. And you helped me a lot with Ants. Yeah, I personally appreciate social commentary. That's, at least for this album, kind of been the bread and butter.
Some of the most profound lyrics, or some of the stuff that resonates with me the most, are artists that do that. Like, for example, Rage Against the Machine. Nothing has changed in terms of the stuff that he's saying. I value that kind of lyrical work, stuff that doesn't explicitly date itself and get too specific, but is still powerful enough to be relevant 20 years later.
I mean, shit, look at like Fortunate Son, classic song, but it's about the same idea, that there are just kids who are out there who got to avoid such an awful thing just because they were rich and they knew somebody.
We're more cynical than anything about the world.
Yeah.
And so most of it comes out in like a cynical dark humor than anything. So I don't really think we're saying anything too profound. It's just funny to us.
Once you're too big and you've gotten past the struggles of being like a minimum wage worker, or you've been struggling, you work all day and you've been fighting for what you love to do, once you're past that and you can just do that thing, you lose sight of what's important. That's kind of one of the benefits of being like a small band here in Vegas, is there's almost no escaping that constant struggle. You know, if we do write about something that is a social commentary, it's most likely because we're on the ground floor kind of seeing it. Playing in Vegas is tough in a lot of ways, especially for rock. If you're more relaxed, you could play in a coffee shop and have come people relax in there and be any age. But if you're playing a rock venue or something like that, it's always 21 and up. So you do exclude a certain, you know, that high school kind of age, which often times can be a huge benefit to bands.
If you're trying to play for adults, they have, I mean, to be honest, so many more enticing things that they could be doing than going to see a local band play. Vegas has some very good scenes, especially over on the east side of town. They have a lot of backyard shows, but the problem with us in respect to that is that I think our music doesn't really fit. And you know, we've played a lot of shows with a lot of different bands, but I can't really think of one band where I go, oh, our band and their band sound similar. Like, I've always felt like an outsider with the music that we make.
If you're a ska band, amazing. The east side scene, cover bands do amazing out here. I mean, you could get a residency at some casino and just make bank.
People want to come out here and see like a Journey cover band or something.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
They would love that. Go get drunk and go see Journey.
Fake Journey. But
that's never anything we've wanted to do.
No, it's never been about the money. It's all about just having a good time and playing a cool show and making the music that you want to. Playing live, it's exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. It's amazing, but awful. There's so much pressure.
That first song is hard.
The first song is always like you get up there and you're like, oh shit, we're doing this. Okay, I guess we're going.
You always feel like you forgot all of your parts.
Yeah, but by the end you're just having fun. It's almost like a thrill seeker thing without the danger. You know, the danger is ridicule. It's not like you're risking your life, but man, you could walk up there and make an absolute fool of yourselves and people would never forget it.
You butcher a song and that's not going to feel great.
Like, making music is awesome and super fulfilling, but if you never get to play it in front of somebody, you're missing something.
It's not like the most important thing of being in a band, but it is the most fun for sure. I mean, and especially being in the audience as a young kid or just as a fan, doesn't matter how old you are, a fan of a band, just watching them do their thing in front of you is like the most inspiring thing ever, you know? Kind of being able to play your songs in like a different light, feeding off the crowd's energy and stuff. Yeah, you don't get that experience doing anything else. You know, you're in the pit with people, you're thrown into the arena, I guess.
It's not like you just show up on stage and you're like, you know, there's so many hours, so many days that go into writing and making the music and building that confidence, and then the practice of trying to make the songs work as a whole and trying to come up with, this song should go first, then this one, then we'll elevate the mood here and then drop it down here. Yeah. It's so much work that goes into it, and not just that, you have to actually find somewhere to play and actually get people out there too.
Yeah.
Which is
it's a long process.
It's a long process for less than an hour of, you know.
Yeah.
I think all three of us are really like introverted mainly. It's very hard for us to just get out there and be like, hey, we're in a band, what's up, what's going on, you know, and
it's exhausting.
It takes
a lot of time.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy and time that we would rather be working on music.
Yeah. And it's not like you don't enjoy it, because you always end up having a good time.
Yeah.
But it is like I don't know. It's tough because I'm sure everybody knows as like an artist, it's hard to not feel phony.
Even asking people to come to our shows and stuff,
It
it
always
feels
hurts.
like you're just trying to sell something.
Yeah.
And it also depends on how much you want to put on your plate. I mean, plenty of bands nowadays that are recording themselves, self-managing, promoting, marketing, doing it all themselves. Unless your band can be your full-time job and support you financially, it's really hard to have the time for that. And if you do have a day job and you do want to do all of that yourself, it could bury you, you know?
Yeah. Playing a live show is so much work and so much effort and so much time. And sadly, I think people have started to take it for granted.
Not talking shit, but some people don't appreciate shows for what they are. I mean, one of the most beautiful things about shows is just seeing like the humanity in people and in the players, you know? It never sounds the same as the studio version, but that's what's awesome about it. You know, you show up and these guys are working with what they have, and if they can blow you away, then that shows you their talent, you know?
One of my favorite things about shows, ironically, is like catching someone make a mistake, like a slight mistake, because it's like, you know, that's really all we're imperfect beings.
And sometimes those mistakes are what makes a show.
Sometimes they're good mistakes.
Yeah.
They sound good. Or you just laugh about it and keep going,
Yeah.
you know?
But it's those moments that show you like, oh, this isn't over-rehearsed. These are real people who came up and really did what they wanted to do.
First two albums we recorded at a studio, two different studios, but they were commercial studios, spaces owned by people, you know, tons of equipment, beautiful spaces, beautiful hardware, and just the most high-tech stuff that you can imagine. But at the end of the day, what really led us to do it ourselves is money. If you want to get a good recording of your music, it takes a lot of time. Tuning, setting up instruments, tuning each individual drum so that it sounds good, and then finding the right place to put a microphone so that you can get the best possible sound out of whatever you're recording. All of that takes time, and when you go to a commercial studio, you're being billed for that time. You could be paying, I mean, what is it, average? Minimum $500
A day.
per day for 11 hours, and there's just a lot of stress in that and trying to get the best performance under the clock. There's an engineer at these places that has never heard your band before. If you're lucky, you'll be able to send him a few songs before you get there the day of recording, but usually it's just another day at the office for them.
Like any art, you want the freedom to do what you want to do. You don't want to be held down by any sort of restraint, and no art should. And every time that we've done it in the studio, it just didn't come out the way that we wanted. Not like it's bad, but it's not the way that it could have been. If we had done it on our own from the get-go and really spent the time to figure out how to do it, it's more time, it's more effort, and probably more money in the long run. But is it a better experience? Hell yeah. The amount of time that we had spent prepping for studios and then the amount of money compared to the result was not worth it. The amount of time, money, and effort we've spent here with the freedom, way worth it.
More than worth it. Yeah.
More than worth it.
I think that the recordings we're making now are the best sounding that we've ever done, or that any of our songs have ever sounded, and we're using by far the cheapest equipment that we've ever used to record.
We have the freedom to fail here with minimal repercussions. But in here, if you're having a bad day, you can just go.
You can take 25 takes if you want.
Yeah.
The studio, you take about 4 or 5 takes, and then the guy says, "This is your last take, bud."
Yeah, we got to move on.
Yeah,
But
that's not a good feeling.
Here, Santi only hits us a little bit.
Yeah.
Smacks us around a bit. I think the future is a multi-million-dollar mansion with hot tubs in every single room.
For each member.
At least one room exactly like Sky Zone.
Yeah.
All that I hope is that we can connect with people and start creating a community of people who like the type of music that we like and make the type of music that we like.
Or even visual art.
All right, visual art, any type of art that aligns with us. You know, I'd like to just be more involved with those people.
You know, it doesn't even need to be like our band with another band or our band with, it could just be on an individual level. Like, you know, what can I do for you? What can I provide for you? And vice versa. Like, how can we help each other? Like, you need music for a film. Do you want to turn that design into a shirt? We have a shirt press set up in our garage. We make all our own merch. When you realize that people can help each other in more ways than they think, that's when a community starts to kind of happen. When people realize that, like, you know, we're not just a band. We're three individuals with all a wide array of skill sets that we're more than happy to help out people that we like, you know, and that we think deserve help. For anyone who's interested in doing anything creative, music, painting, you know, making films, whatever you do, try to be the best. Put out the best product that you can with the skills that you have that day. And if you do that every single day, little by little, you're gonna get better. With every little picture that you take or every song that you write, all those minutes add up. It's less about the destination and more about the journey. If you can find pride in your work and go to bed every night and think, I did something today that makes me happy.
Keep making what you want to make, work hard, and try and spread yourselves further than here.
You have to accept the fact that all of this time might not make you a cent, but make sure that's worth it for you before you dedicate your life to it, because at the end of the day, for me, playing guitar is what makes me happy. So whether we blow up or not, I'm fine, you know?
Yeah. You could go through your entire life and make a ton of money, but if you're miserable, it doesn't matter. But if I end up broke at the end of my life, but I've had a great time, I don't give a shit.
It's more about the experience.
Yeah.
When you're sitting on your deathbed, you're not thinking about how many credit cards you can take to heaven with you.
We are the Three-Legged Dukes, and if you want to find our music, you can check us out at Three-Legged Dukes on Spotify, Apple Music, all that kind of jazz, any streaming service you have. If you want to find us on social media, just look up Three-Legged Dukes, and I'm sure we are the only one. If you want to see us live, you can see us over at the Fremont Country Club on June 12th with the Dirty Savage Pigs, Vox, Neon, a burlesque dancer, Illy Mayrose, a burlesque dancer, and Hypnotizing Hippie, another burlesque dancer. So if you want to see us, come down on that night, June 12th.
At the Fremont Country Club.
You got nothing to lose.
Except $10. Tickets are $10.
Except $10. $10, yeah.